Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, St. Louis.
Good morning to you too. I'm here today with actor and director EDDIE McCLINTOCK. He's starring as Richard Newman and also director of a film called Miracle at Manchester, based on a true story, streaming exclusively on Pure Flix. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Briefly, tell us about Miracle at Manchester, and it's based on a true story.
Yes, sir. That's true. Miracle at Manchester is about a young man, Bryson Newman, who he's an outstanding athlete, baseball player, football player. Starts getting headaches and nosebleeds randomly. His dad takes him into the emergency room a few times, and they basically send him home with a bottle of aspirin and tell him that he's going through puberty. And Rick Newman refuses to take that as an answer. He's very diligent and loves his son, and he finally they find out that he has a very aggressive form of brain cancer. And this it's just about their journey together through the process of basically, coming to grips with the his possible passing because of this brain tumor, and the fact that the community rallies around him, and they come together in faith and prayer and love. And it's just a film that it has a good message, I think, and I think the film gives people a little bit of hope and a reason to get up in the morning and move through their day.
Now, did you get an opportunity to actually meet the real family?
Yes, sir. I worked every morning before, at 6 a.m. Rick would pick me up, and he's a heck of a guy. I can understand, hanging with Rick, you see how strong of a man he is, and I got to know him. And Bryce was there for most of the shoot. He's getting ready to graduate from college now, doing really well. And so, when they say this film's based on a true story, a lot of times there's about this much truth, and the rest of it is made up. But yeah, these are real people, and what happened in this film really happened. So,
How did you actually balance the role of director and actor? How did you do that?
well, it was the first time I was the first time director. I was nervous, and I've been acting for about 25 years out here in Los Angeles. And I told my dad about it. My dad was my hero and my biggest fan, and he was really excited to hear that I was going to direct this film. And unfortunately, he passed just before we started, and so I just kind of drew on that. Long days, complicated. We had a lot of problems, as it's just like life. We had stuff come up, and but my dad was always there with me. And interestingly enough, the story itself is about a man and his son's love for one another, and so that's what kind of compelled me.
I'm listening to you talking about production and a lot of problems. That's like any production. Something's
Yeah,
going to pop up.
yeah,
Something
yeah,
always pops up. Do you want
yeah.
to continue directing or acting?
I'd like to do both. I'm going to direct another film down in Tampa in May, and I really enjoy figuring out puzzles, and making a film is just a big jumbled puzzle. Especially, like, for instance, for one of the scenes, we were supposed to have two full football teams worth of kids show up. So let's say 60 kids roughly, and we had 10. And of the 10 that showed up, they were all supposed to shave their head for this pivotal scene, and only 5 of the 10 agreed to shave their heads. So I had to, somehow turn 5 into 60, and 10 into 60. And I just found a way to shoot around it and talk to my DP, and we figured out how to, best make things work and make them believable under those constraints. So it was a lot of fun. If I could continue to do both, that's what I'd like to do.
This movie is based on faith
Yes, sir.
in a higher power.
Yes,
How has
sir.
that played a role in your life?
Wow. Yeah. The last, my dad was always worried about me getting a job out here in Hollywood. It's a pretty tough gig, especially when you get to be a little long in the tooth like I am now. And so a couple of years ago, my dad, when I would talk to my dad, he'd say, "Hey, Ed, I'm saying a prayer for you." I said a prayer for you, and that was, you know, that was something that my dad just he didn't say throughout his life. And for me personally, it started to open up, my heart and my mind a little bit more, to consider a spiritual path. And so, since then I've really, I'm on I'm on my own journey in that regard. I think we all are in some way or another. And so it's been, I mean, the people that I get to work with on these films, they're just such, it's like I grew up in Ohio. You sat down at the table, you said a prayer before you ate your meal, and it's like these are just good Midwestern people that have faith, and if some of it rubs off on me, I'm more than willing to accept that.
It's interesting. I'm reading a little bit about you, and I have to admit, I'm a producer, but you're talking to a guy who was a psychology major in college, wanted to be a stockbroker, so he started selling insurance, and here I am producing television. You wrestled in college. How did you get into all
Yes,
this?
sir. Yes, sir. And interestingly enough, I moved to Los Angeles to sell corporate insurance for my uncle. So I was a bit of a, I mean, I wrestled in college. I was a little on the wilder side. I 20 it'll be 23 years January 1st. I got clean and sober. And I turned my life around and made a big change, so I don't know. I guess I'm my own work in progress, certainly, but I guess I'm a somewhat of a success story in that I was able to, change my life and find a different path.
Do you think you may have had just a little help or push from above?
I like to think so. I like to think so. After my father passed, people started saying that, your dad's still here, your dad's still with you, he's around you, you can talk to him. And I want to believe that. And because I want to believe that, I've chosen to believe that. And with the help of, I have kind of Jason Campbell's wife, Heather, who is co-owner of JC Films. Her faith is very, very strong. And so I've kind of been going to her and asking her questions, and she's kind of been mentoring me in that regard. So, yeah, I'm on the path, brother.
Been talking with Eddie McClintock. Miracle in Manchester is on Pure Flix beginning the 31st of March. Also stars Dean Cain and Daniel Roebuck. Eddie, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Blend. And the last thing I will say to you is keep the faith.
Thank you, James. Thank you. And I look forward to meeting you in person someday, sir.
That sounds cool. I'm in the Midwest too.
I know. Well, I know. Hey, St. Louis, baby.
Yeah.